Well, it is my pleasure to bring to you a British hit. This is to the American audience that I am addressing at number 13, up 2 notches from number 2, a band that never made it here in America, but they were huge in England for several years back in the early 2000s. A group called Busted. Thunderbirds or Go. Number 12, number 13 on my fantasy playlist, October 9th, 2004. Busted started out as a four-man group. They're from Britain. But two of the guys left the band and they were replaced by one guy. His name was Charlie Simpson. Charlie Simpson would later become a member of a hardcore rock and roll band. These guys rocked, called Five Star, that had some hit records in England, but that was later on in the 2000s. Right now, Charlie Simpson in 2001 is a member of the group called Busted. He was the youngest member of the group. They released their debut album called Busted in 2002. Oh man, I adored their first song. I wanted this so bad to be a hit here in America. That's what I go to school for. What I go to school for. Went to number 3 in England, but didn't do squat over here. I think they might have played the video a couple of times on VH1 or MTV late at night, and that's it. That was a nice song, sort of a bubblegum rock and roll record. And year 3000 came after that. That went to number 2 in Britain. That was like in late 2002, early 2003. I remember having that one on my fantasy playlist, Sleeping with the Light On. It went to number 3 in England. The album, their first album, would go on and sell about 1.2 million copies. Their second album was called A Present for Everyone, and there was one of the hits off that album was called Crashed a Wedding. That went to number 1 in England. I mean, these guys, they were on fire in Britain. Busted they were. Now, here's the thing. Busted, Thunderbirds or Go. It was released as a double A side. One side would be Busted. One side would be Thunderbirds or Go, and then the other side would be a song called 3 a.m. Bomb. They just number 1 in England. Thunderbirds or Go went to number 1 in England for about 2 weeks. This was in 2004, and got it on my fantasy playlist at number 13. Also went to number 1 in Japan. Thunderbirds or Go. Charlie Simpson. He became dissatisfied with Busted. It just wasn't fulfilling, creatively speaking. He was writing a lot of songs, but they were different from the songs that he was doing with Busted, and he was just getting dissatisfied. There were some good times with the band, but you just kind of grow and you get dissatisfied. He started jamming out with a couple of guys. They were doing a Rage Against the Machine song, and they said, "Hey, this is working," and they formed Five Star, which is a kick-ass rock and roll band. It's a lot harder than Busted. And he left when Charlie Simpson left the group Busted. Well, he left because there was a 14-date tour they had to do with Five Star. Five Star was his thing now by 2004, 2005. When he left Busted, the group more or less split up around 2005. But they left quite a few hit records over in Britain. I just want to bring one of them on to you right now for the American audience who missed Busted, the group. This is Thunderbirds or Go. Now, here's the thing about this song, real quick. One other thing. It initially was not included on the album A Present for Everyone, Busted's second album, because the song was written for a movie, a science fiction movie called Thunderbirds or Go, but it was later included on a reissue of the album, A Present for Everyone, in Europe. So, with that out of the way, boy, I'm glad I got that out of the way. I just wanted to talk about this song. Busted, Thunderbirds or Go at number 13, up 2 notches from number 15 on my fantasy playlist, October 9th, 2004.